now that I'm on this restriction diet, I'm going to start thinking about Friday pizza night on Tuesday, and I'm going to eat half a sandwich for lunch on Tuesday so I have enough left for Friday. So it pulls you further away from what you're trying to accomplish. And that's the whole paradox with control. The more you tighten your grip, the less say you actually have over how it goes. We're zooming in really close and trying to control, but then becoming disengaged with that which we're trying to achieve. So don't pay attention to your body and how you feel. Don't, experience food. Don't, reflect on your eating habits. Rather, turn everything into a number and kind of, go crazy playing the numbers game.
Are you curious about discovering ways of making your life better? Then welcome to my podcast. I'm Bob Nickman, and this is The Exploding Human. Listen in while I talk with all kinds of people in the fields of personal growth, health and healing, alternative therapies, psychology, spirituality, environment, and the future. I'm looking for those answers that make life better for everyone. You'll meet cutting-edge practitioners, doctors, artists, filmmakers, business people, and those who have overcome challenges. The brave, the curious, anyone who is out there helping us humans to explore, expand, and explode. Hey, welcome to The Exploding Human. My name is Bob Nickman. My guest today is Valerie EVANS, and we're going to be talking about mindful eating and how to change your perception to get away from calorie counting and weighing yourself when it comes to body image and your weight. But first, I'd like to invite you to visit my website, theexplodinghuman.com. Over there, you can listen to episodes, read synopses, see photos of my guests. There's also a little bio on myself. You can also listen to the show on YouTube. That is The Exploding Human with Bob Nickman. As I said, my guest today is Valerie EVANS, a PhD. She is a board-certified behavioral analyst and psychotherapist who specializes in mindful eating. And she's going to be talking about her personal story, which began as a teenager, and her body image as a teenager, and the roller coaster of dieting, diet apps, counting calories, and how she has used her training as a behavioral analyst to create an app which helps people to change their perception where they're not obsessed and consumed with diet and numbers. So let's jump into this. This is Valerie EVANS. Good afternoon, Valerie. I guess it's a little bit later in Pennsylvania than it is here in California, like 3 hours, but I'm at 3 in the afternoon. You're at 6. And I'm happy to have you on the show, and we're going to talk about all things Valerie EVANS today.
Hello, Bob. Thanks for having me.
Hello. Yes. We were having some laughs about parenting before we started recording, so that's why Valerie was giggling, I think. So we're going to talk about weight, and I love that you had that. Is that your website? It's called No Weight?
No way.
No Way.
Yeah.
Right. Instead of W-A-Y, it's W-E-I-G-H, which means you're not going to weigh yourself, because why would you do that?
No, don't do that.
Right, because it leads to all kinds of mental twists that don't help.
No.
I can't remember the last time I weighed myself. I don't remember. I don't even know if I have a scale. I really don't even know if I must have one somewhere, but it's just, I don't know. I guess I was at my annual physical was the last time. That was the last time they weighed me. I didn't weigh myself.
Right.
So I don't, but that can be, let's just start with that, because people have this idea, some people do, that there's a correlation between a number and how you feel about yourself. And of course, there's also some, physical health things that correlate. If you're 700 pounds, you're probably not doing very well physically. So let's talk about how this, the idea of weight, body image, all these things started to manifest themselves for you. And we were talking a little bit like way back in the teen years, when, as I was saying, it's being a teenager is almost like a condition. Some type of it. It's like years of like troublesome thoughts and feelings and body
Mm-hmm.
weirdness that is happening. But the idea of looking a certain way and weighing a certain amount takes on this impact for some people that is so, and I think more for women than men. I just think that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you go, because I've
Yeah.
talked way too much for
Well,
me.
let me ask you this, because when I was a kid, they would weigh us like publicly. You would get weighed in front of your friends as part of your gym class.
Yeah,
You had that experience too. I
yeah,
don't know
yeah,
if they
yeah.
still do it, but that was impactful for me, and that's kind of where my thoughts go when you say where did this start. I'm thinking like fourth grade. I was tall, and I knew that when I went up there for my turn, and everyone's staring and like it's a little bit of a messed up situation, I would argue. Um, they
Yeah.
had to move the I forget what the scale
Yeah,
is
the
called.
bar, the weight on the bar there
Thank you.
across the
Yeah,
scale.
right.
Yeah.
Over to 100 pounds because I was over 100 pounds. And it was, I was like, everyone's going to know. And then, like, how many other kids did they have to do this for? And it creates a complex. I don't even know what they do with these numbers that they log. I don't think they do anything with them. What is the value of weighing kids during gym class? But
No idea.
so anyway, and then you're growing and growth spurts make you very hungry. And your relationship with your body, how you should feel about your body, how when you should eat, when you shouldn't, it becomes a little, for me, it became a little bit of a thing, like when I'm feeling bad, that's the thing I'm going to go to. We all have our insecurity go-tos.
Yeah,
So,
sure.
and I think they do develop, during the developmental years when we kind of pick up what we're going to carry with us, our baggage, into adulthood. So, for different reasons, probably because I was so tall, um, for me, it was learning how to go on a diet, and I remember counting calories as early as fourth grade, which seems a little young.
Mm.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't have like, a diagnosable problem because it's diet culture. It's perfectly normal. You want to lose weight, then you should be writing everything down and counting and getting really involved and focused on this numbers game.
Now, did your
And
parents like promote this too, or were they involved in saying, "Oh, you need to write this down"? Where did you learn that? Because I don't remember writing anything down, but I do remember. All I remember is food groups and that kind of
okay.
stuff, and making fun of people that were overweight. I did
Oh,
plenty of that.
geez. Well,
Sorry,
yeah.
not you. I didn't know you back then, but if you were overweight, I probably would have said something just because I was insecure about a bunch of stuff myself. So go ahead.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And I wasn't. I wasn't. I was just tall, and I felt uncomfortable in my own body. And I think that's where it starts. That's what it comes down to. I like how you said it's about how you feel, and we should be pursuing a feeling, not a number. And that's the whole difference between quantification and qualifying, value. And that's what this is. So this no way approach is really taking the diet approach, and they're all the same. Some have you measure this, some have you measure that, some have you avoid other things, but they're all restriction. And that's how
Yeah.
they work. It's just you follow a rule, and it many times requires you attending to something like um, budgeting, budgeting food. That makes me crazy, the budgeting. That was the last straw for me. I was like, I can't. I live in northeastern Pennsylvania, and we have something called Friday pizza night. On Friday, we just eat pizza.
That's you
in any
personally, or
PA.
is that a thing in
It's a
Pennsylvania?
cultural thing
Oh,
in
okay. It's
northeastern
on
Pennsylvania.
billboards. Come on in. You have a pizza. It's Friday.
Well, it's probably yeah, probably something that goes back to, a lot of Catholics here and with
Yeah.
Lent and
Okay.
vegetarianism.
Oh, right. Because you're not eating meat. Okay. I got
Yeah. But there's just small mom and pop pizza shops everywhere. I'm not talking about like Domino's and Papa John's.
you. Yeah.
When you eat pizza on pizza night, it's like there's they're serving it at a restaurant that's owned by the person who's making you the pizza. It's that
I
kind of
love
thing.
that. I
Yeah, and
absolutely
it's
love
neat.
that.
Yeah, it's very neat, and we have a ton of them. And you go for pizza, you have a beer if you drink, you go for ice cream on the way home. Same thing with ice cream. A lot of mom and pop ice cream
Yeah.
shops in northeastern Pennsylvania, and even ones that make their own ice cream. It's not, we don't do Dairy Queen. It's these places that have been around for 50, 60, 100 years. So so then you get into this conflict with budgeting, like whatever you want to do. I want to have this experience with my family. I want to go out to dinner. I want to participate in this cultural activity, that I've done for many years. It connects me to my past. It connects me to the people I'm with, and the foods are important to me. But now that I'm on this restriction diet, I'm going to start thinking about Friday pizza night on Tuesday, and
Yeah.
I'm going to eat half a sandwich for lunch on Tuesday, so I have enough left for Friday. So it pulls you further away from what you're trying to accomplish. And that's the whole paradox with control. The more you tighten your grip, the less say you actually have over how it goes. We're zooming in really close and trying to control, but then becoming disengaged with that which we're trying to achieve. So don't pay attention to your body and how you feel. Don't, experience food. Don't, reflect on your eating habits. Rather, turn everything into a number and kind of, go crazy playing the numbers game. So
Yeah. And then what happens when you hit the number, let's say, and you still don't feel good? And then you're like, well, now that's not working. Or, I got to lower the number or change the number. And, it's crazy making. You absolutely drive yourself insane. There's no winning at that game. It doesn't make sense at all. And then you're probably also trying to work in exercise in some way that you may not even want to do, because and it might not even be the right exercise for your body type or your desire. It's like, we'll run 5 miles and then subtract that calorie burn off from the pizza. Then you can have an extra piece. That game that people play with themselves to kind of bargain. You're kind of bargaining with the universe in this bizarre way that is monumentally unsatisfying. Let's put it that way.
Right. Yeah, there's no winning. There's no winning.
So did you get to the point where you got very overweight, or it was more of an emotional sort of troubling kind of a pattern that you were in?
Yeah, it was more like an emotional troubling pattern. And really what it came down to is my life got busier, and it was starting a family, which makes your body feel a certain way, certainly, especially for women, because of the pregnancy and the C-sections and the miscarriages and the
Yep. Hormones,
small babies, and the waking up at night,
lactation. There's so
the
many
breastfeeding.
factors
Yeah.
going. Yeah. And
It's
then comparing
just,
to the other women who are doing it better. That's the other part. Oh, I lost my baby fat, my pregnancy weight in 20 minutes because I'm naturally amazing. It's taking you quite a while, isn't it? What's wrong with you? It's I call it female macho. It's like better pregnancy, weight loss to better parenting. Yeah, your kid's not walking yet. How come? Mine is.
There was a Bluey episode about that.
Oh,
Did you
I
ever see
believe you.
Bluey?
I've heard of it. I haven't seen it. No.
Yeah, it's cute. Um, yeah, someone told me once that their mom left the hospital after she had her wearing her like pre-pregnancy jeans. And
Oh,
she
yeah.
told me that like way before I was like, when I was a kid, I heard that story and I was like, it just stuck with me because I was like, wow, that sounds like it might be ridiculous.
Yeah, you
Um,
win.
I'm not even gonna try for that. But it doesn't even become about like losing the weight. It becomes about like feeling like a person. Because when you're well, in that situation I was in, and this could, it doesn't have to be parenthood, it could be anything. You get to a point where you have responsibilities and you have the toll that it's taking on your body. And you want to regain your autonomy and feel like you're making decisions for yourself and your daily life. It's our daily lives that really determine how we feel. And that's where the value comes in our life, with how we feel in our daily life and our ability to engage with the mundane activities in daily life is really where happiness is.
I was just thinking about this today, and I was just listening to a TED talk, and the woman Brene Brown. If you've ever seen her stuff, she's fairly
Mm-hmm.
popular. But
Yeah.
she was talking about the things people miss the most about if they've particularly lost a loved one or they've. So it's the mundane stuff that they miss,
Mm-hmm.
not the big events. It's and I I look forward to that kind of stuff. Like to me, sitting, having a cup of coffee and talking to my wife first thing in the morning is so joyful to me. I don't
Mm-hmm.
care about the big stuff. I just love that. And I think about it when I go to sleep. I go, it's going to be great tomorrow when I get up and have that coffee that I just made that's ready to go. And we're going to sit there and we're going to just start the day and the sun will come up and we're going to be talking. And even if it's 10 minutes, and that's the thing. Cause most of life is those little things. It's a lot of, it's some big highs, some low lows, and a ton of what I would call, for lack of a better term, mediocrity. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't mean it in a negative way. I just mean it in a way that the wavelengths are not big dips and big heights. It's just kind of a more even kind of thing because it takes, most of your day is spent in tasks of some
Right.
type. And so, how do you enjoy that part? I think about that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like I used to really struggle with, not struggle, probably too strong of a word. I did not like emptying the dishwasher. It's a tiny
Mm-hmm.
task. In fact, I would avoid it. I don't know why. Didn't mind loading it, but I hated it. And I remember saying to myself, why do you hate it? You got a dishwasher. You don't have to hand wash these things if you don't want to. And you got a dishwasher. Why are you spending, why are you being grumpy about something that takes about 10 minutes to do? Why don't you become the best dishwasher emptier that you can be and really take your time paying attention to the things when you're taking them out instead of rushing and being resentful? You could be doing something fun. And so I turned
Mm-hmm.
it around at some point, and now I actually uh, enjoy it. It's not like the greatest thing in the world, but I actually enjoy it.
Yeah. Right. You found a way to just change your perspective, right?
Yeah,
Let yourself get out of that corner you're backed into.
yeah. So it really was a mind shift,
Mm-hmm.
deliberate in this case. Sometimes
Yeah.
it's yeah,
Well, that's the power of intentions, setting intentions and intentions are powerful because it's where we want to direct ourselves, but there's no win or lose. There's no like today was a failure because Rather, it's taking a learning approach to change. That change is just, it's not a linear path. It's something that you embark on and you get feedback about every day, every moment. You
Mm-hmm.
know, everything that doesn't go the way you wanted it to is information. And then that creates an opportunity to use the information to do it differently next time and have a new experience. And these experiences create feelings. You know, we are engaging.
I love it. Look at that wonderful smile you're having talking about it. I think it's great. So, what was the sort of, for lack of a better term, again, what was your bottom? What was the part where you went, oh, I can't do this one more second? And what was that like? What was going on? And then what prompted you to, and or what was the catalyst for the shift, other than just desperation? Maybe was part of it, but was there some sort of a um, personal intervention that you did for yourself? Did somebody tell you something that kind of opened your eyes? What happened? You know, how bad did it get for you, and in what way? And then what happened? Because I know you're a different person now.
Well, it was a realization. It was all the stressors. We started talking about this, we got distracted, but the stressors of creating a family for me. And I was recovering from, it was my third pregnancy and, third pregnancy where I had a baby. And the whole way through it, I was thinking, I can't wait until I get to the other end of this so I can feel like a person again, where I can like move my body the way I want to move it, and I can um like have a more predictable appetite, and make more deliberate decisions about when and what I want to eat, and have maybe some time to exercise, which forget it, you have a new baby, you're not exercising. But and this like focus on wanting to get my body, wanting to feel um like I live in my body again, wanting to reconnect with it. And looking to a restriction diet just because that's what I always did, downloading a different app, and being asked to be on my phone all day and write down everything I
Mm.
eat and think about numbers and think about food this way. And um, I was just having so much more to do, two young kids, plus an infant, plus recovering from surgery, plus breastfeeding, plus not getting sleep. I was like, wait a second, this isn't real. Restriction diets are just completely like an accounting approach to this behavioral problem. And this actually doesn't make sense. I'm a PhD in psychology. I'm a behavior analyst. I know better than this. This isn't this isn't adding up, and this isn't going to solve my problem, because my problem really isn't, whether or not I fit into the genes I had 10 years ago. My problem is that I'm feeling disengaged with my life. And I am making assumptions that working on this insecurity I have that I picked up years ago is going to re-engage me. So let's think about that. Let's actually tackle that problem, becoming re-engaged and making more deliberate decisions, and understanding, recognizing, and accepting some of the patterns that I engage in, and redirecting them to something a little more helpful. So I just, got real about it because I had so much more going on, and I actually just couldn't even handle a restriction diet. It was that or my mental health, and I chose my mental health.
Well, that's the desperation that I was kind of hinting at there. Well, I wasn't hinting; I said it. I actually said it. I was going to ask you next, because you mentioned your husband. How much were you telling him about what was going on inside of you? How much were you taking out your frustration on him? What was going on there? Because, I notice sometimes when my wife is going through difficult things and she's not telling me, and I'm on the business end of some sort of a maladjusted emotional life, that it's and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? You're hitting me with all this stuff. I haven't even done anything. And then it'll come out. I'll have to say, well, are you tired? Did somebody say something terrible to you? Are you feeling this way about even your body is another one, because sometimes my wife will say, oh, I hate the way I look. I hate the way I
Mm-hmm.
feel. I mean, this stuff is, it's powerful stuff. And especially when you have a partner, and they don't know what's going on exactly, because sometimes I think the person themselves isn't exactly sure because it's so swirling inside. But
Mm-hmm.
what was that part like? Were you telling him what was going on, or you were just trying to figure it out and hope to get past it? And what was his reaction?
Well, I think we were going through it together because it was ultimately not about losing weight. It was
Right.
about um, a stressful family life that there are a lot of contextual factors contributing to this kind of fragile feeling, that I want to reclaim how I feel, and I want to make my mental health a priority. And that's a very helpful way to think about health, is beginning with mental health. Because you think about it, I'd be interested to know what you think of this, but I like to make the claim that there is nothing more important than your mental health.
Okay.
What could
Well,
be more important than that?
yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, and I'm going to throw in the spiritual health with that. I don't think they're separate. You can really separate them much, because if one's off, then the other one's going to be off. But
Mm-hmm.
the idea that well, I think some people live this way, and I have. When I get these things in order in this way
Mm-hmm.
down the road,
Yeah.
then I can relax and
Yes.
enjoy my life. But until then, it's very stressful. And at what point am I going to say, you know what, how many more hours, days, months, or years am I going to waste looking ahead to when I can relax, let's say, it could be the word, or just be
Mm-hmm.
content, or have a life of where I feel, comfortable, inside myself. When is that going to start? And can it start now? Or do I have to have these things? Is that a false belief that I have to have certain things a certain way in order to feel okay? Or can I feel okay and then work for the things that I also want? Is
Mm-hmm.
that and I think that second part is really kind of the better choice.
I love this. I love saying this. If the good fairy came down and granted you a choice of two wishes, do you want to uh get to your goal weight, or do you want to have a happy day?
Yeah,
Have a
well, I'll
happy
take
life.
door number 2. I'll take that
Right.
one.
Well then I love the follow up too. Like, if you had the happy life, would you lose the weight naturally? And if you lost the weight, would you have the happy life? What are you really going for, and how is it connected to like your whole life as a person? And what you were just describing about wanting, once I get this taken care of and that taken care of, and then you know, we all do that, when we're planning our lives, like, oh, I'm going to get this job, and then I'll get experience and get this other job, and then I'll save money and buy this house, and then I'm going to find this person, and then it just becomes this really long thing. And then when we're feeling bad, we do it with our habits or our tendencies or things about our life that, at first I have to like correct this debt I might have, or I need to like, and once I get through all these things, then I can be happy. And in behavior analysis, we call that escape motivation. That you're not going towards something, you're motivated to get relief. You're
Yeah.
motivated by some type of crushing feeling or cornered feeling that you want to escape.
Yeah.
And that is the nuance. That is the difference between a restriction diet and what I'm promoting with this No Way behavior analytic program. That with restriction diets, we're imposing restrictions. We're using willpower, right? We're willpower. Willpower, right? You're forcing yourself to do something and you're just pushing yourself through that, tiny little opening and just
not
just
enjoying
do it.
one
Just get it
second of it.
done.
Not
Right.
enjoying a second of it.
Exactly. and then how is that supposed to generalize and be maintained? How is that sustainable if you're not enjoying it? Then at what point, does it become a integrated part of your life? It's always kicking that can down the road, where you could just start there. You could start with accessing joy or accessing what you want, your happy moments or your engagement with your life, and integrate integrate the approach into your daily life. So you're not overlaying this this diet, rather you're making decisions about your tendencies, your daily life, the patterns that you tend to follow. And I'll give you an example, being, because I started talking about parenting. So one thing that kind of goes with that is feeling tired like all of the time, and this is with adulthood too. Like some people, they don't have kids, but they're like working really hard on their careers, or their social lives are very important to them. For whatever reason, we have a tendency to kind of max ourselves out, and then that's all you got, but there's still, it's only 3:00. You still have more stuff you need to do. So that's why they have vending machines at work, because snacking is effective. It wakes you up, it changes your context. It creates a new context for you. So you're refreshed. You can sit back down at your computer and now you got an idea. Now you're a little bit more awake and you're thinking more, focused, and you can squeeze out those other 2 hours before you get to go home. Right. And it's a problem solving situation where we develop these habits because they're adaptive. They're solving problems in our lives. And if you can take a functional approach and ask, how is this solving a problem? What is it about this context and about what happens after I engage in this response that are connected? Then you have an opportunity to make different decisions about how you can attain that goal, wake yourself up, or maybe engage with your job more, without having to use the vending machine.
Well, it sounds like this, I don't know the specifics of your app, but it sounds like the concepts you're talking about can be used in anything, not just weight. It's not really, it's really about changing, like you said, your perceptions. Which is, that's a big idea for a lot of people, because they, rather than tackling the specific problem in a way that's like you say, quantitative, you're actually going after the root of your dissatisfaction first. And why is that the case, and what can I do differently, and what works? Really, what you were basically saying, what works and what doesn't, and think about what that is. Because if the thing you're doing isn't working, why keep doing it? And the only reason is because you think that eventually it will, because that's the only solution that there is. And maybe there is a different solution, which is what you're talking about.
We engage in the behaviors that we did previously. It's if you think of your responses like tools, and how am I going to solve this tired problem, or how can I engage with the people around me, or how can I have a morning that feels enriched and happy and start my day off right. You have different options for responding, but it's not like we're just thinking throughout our day, oh, what would be the best solution for the situation. Rather, we are following what we did previously, and we're defaulting to those responses that have been practiced and reinforced in the past. And we call those habits. And we need habits because otherwise we'd be making decisions like all day long and we'd go nuts, right? So habits
Yep.
are good. It's a good tendency, but they need to be maintained. They need to like be checked out and, is this still working for me? I can see why I developed this habit. I was in college. I didn't have a lot of time to study or sleep. I had to like figure out how to do this. And this is, I started drinking 12 cups of coffee a day, and now maybe I don't need to do that anymore. Maybe that's not helping me. Maybe I could actually do something differently, like exercise to maintain my mood and arousal. So they need to be like tuned up, we're kind of we kind of get going and something works, but we every so often we need to reflect and look back and recognize those patterns and make intentional decisions about whether we want to keep them or whether it's time to shape them into something that's a little more helpful.
So tell me about the app, like how you designed it and what people can do when they download the app and use it. What is the practical kind of day to day, or maybe it's not every day. Maybe it's, not as often. Explain the app to people that don't know what it is, because it's really I'm interested to know how you integrated these ideas into an app.
Oh yeah, sure. Well, it requires learning about some behavior analytic techniques and understanding this point of view and this different way of approaching the problem, which is essentially just asking different questions and interpreting events a little bit differently, getting out of the, success failure point of view. So when you're in the app, you have strategies you can use, and those are based in behavioral science. Things like modifying your context so it frees you up to have a different response, or doing things to manage your mood more effectively and easily so that is not making decisions for you. And that's kind of the learning part, but it's all integrated together so that you're acquiring new strategies and new ways of reflecting and new tools as you're learning this information. They're producing things that you can actually use in your daily life. So as far as like everyday activity goes, you open the app, you're asked to answer some reflection questions about your day, or if it's in the morning, about how you expect your morning to go. Thinking about how you feel, how's your mood, how's your attention, how are you thinking about the day? And then what are you intending for your day, and what strategies can you use to support how you want your day to go? And then the next piece is on connecting. And Brene Brown talks about connection a lot. You mentioned her earlier. Mm-hmm. So I don't think this is an unfamiliar concept to anyone, but it's something that we can do in any context. It doesn't need to be big. You can take your dog for a walk, and you can do it in this automatic, distracted way where you're, thinking about what you need to do, or you're on your phone, or you're just feeling impatient. Or you can do it in this more engaged connection sort of way where you're, you're being with your dog and you're being with your community and your neighbors. So there's a reflection activity that you can do. And then the final thing is to expand your knowledge. So continually having an opportunity to gain more techniques and strategies and opportunities to reflect and use tools so that you can approach this goal of losing weight in a more qualitative and immediately reinforcing way.
It's almost like if you've got something else that is a sticking point in your life, you could really use the same concepts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah, definitely.
that sounds awesome because it wasn't now people that are let's go into the sort of amount of weight loss that somebody's looking at. If somebody's like morbidly obese, that's a very different thing than what you're talking about. You're talking almost about mental obsession with weight loss and body image and how you feel, as opposed to somebody who's actually got a very serious physical problem. Do those people do well with this too? I'm sure they would. It would help, but there's probably some other factors that need to come into play.
Yeah, it was really designed for kind of everyday weight loss situations that aren't especially extreme.
Okay.
But really, I think that it can resonate for anyone, but people who have experience with diets will be able to appreciate this approach and its difference to that different degree because they know what restriction diets feel like. Yeah. And I don't even, you don't even have to go as far to say as like obsessed with body image, or it doesn't even have to be extreme. It's just wanting self-improvement and feeling ineffective to do that. How do I take that first step forward? And how do we transition from this linear way of thinking about change to viewing change more as a learning process where we're constantly collecting information and we're attending to that and using it to continue down our change path? It is really about mental health.
I'm wondering how prevalent this is in other countries. It seems like almost not a unique problem to the United States, but it seems like as a culture, we really have taken this so far. This constant, it's almost like competing with something that isn't there, and achievement based, and these bizarre beliefs of based on numbers. It's almost like life is almost like a sporting event in some bizarre way, where you're ranking yourself to with other people. Do you think that is a particularly more prevalent in the United States and other parts of the world? Because I don't remember people talking about this stuff when I was younger. I mean, even 30 years ago, I was younger 30 years ago, but I don't even remember it then. I'm going to pick 30 years ago because I was like 40 at the time. And I don't remember all this talk about this stuff that now seems to be, it seems to have grown. Like is it more typical of the United States? I can't even imagine. I've never lived anywhere else. I don't know.
I don't know. Since I started No Way, I've been talking to different people and some from other countries, and I'm just getting a general impression,
okay,
just from my own personal experience, that maybe people aren't as hard on themselves in other places. Like maybe that's a little bit of an American trait. And I mean, this is just my personal, opinion,
sure.
But
we like those.
I'm talking to people in England. I was talking to a psychologist in England, and just a tendency to just be a little more accepting, and forgiving, and taking things in stride maybe a little bit. And maybe we don't always have those tendencies, and maybe like you say, it's cultural.
Feels like it to me, but I don't really know. I've never lived in other countries, but it just I just can't picture somebody walking around in I don't know. I'm going to say the Dominican Republic, worried about their weight. I just can't. I think other parts of the world, people are worried about survival so much. Here we're not. We're not that worried about survival. It's sort of in place for almost anyone. Even the poorest people have it pretty good compared to a lot of the world. I'm not saying they have it good, but and I'm just wondering if it's a manifestation of the amount of success we've had as a culture in terms of having basic needs met beyond that
Mm-hmm.
that it gives us time. I'm not saying it's a good thing or not a good thing to think about shit. We
Mm-hmm.
drive ourselves a little crazy. Whereas when you're in a more of a survival mode, you don't really even have the time to do that. You're just so
Mm-hmm.
busy trying to we're just so focused on survival.
It makes sense. It sounds good, right?
Okay. I don't know. I mean, I don't get to talk to behavioral psychologists very often, so I'm just throwing stuff out. It's a little bit of a left turn for the topic, but you know, who knows? You never know what's going to come up here. It's the risk taking that I like about this. And I can always edit it out. I'm probably not gonna, but I could.
Well, I think that's what you just said fits because what I was talking about before about letting go of control,
Yep.
it is risk taking. You have to accept the possible consequences before you. For example, I sometimes during the holiday I want to do a lot of things. I'm not alone with that. And so I make a list, right? And it just becomes a task list. I was saying before about escape motivation, let's just check it off, check it off, check. How many did I check off today? And, what are we actually doing? Are we actually having this experience or are we just moving things out of our way? And if you want to let go of the checklist and just delete it,
Mm-hmm.
and approach the holiday a little more organically, just following your own authentic, decisions from day to day, then you risk forgetting something, forgetting to buy a gift or forgetting to, do a tradition that was important to you. So you have to be okay with that,
Yeah.
and we're circling back to mental health, because that's okay. That's okay. Things aren't going to fall apart because you didn't you didn't buy your box of chocolates for the people that pick up your trash, which I actually forgot to do this year. But I wouldn't have forgotten if I used my task list.
Yeah, right.
But
Well,
now that I'm on the other end of it, I could
yeah.
tell you I had a much better holiday not using the task list than I would have if I remembered to buy everyone their chocolate. So
Yeah.
I'm
And
okay with that.
if you want to, you see them 2 weeks later. I'm so sorry, I completely forgot. Then they get a second Christmas. They're so lucky.
There you go.
It's not the end of the world. And here's the other problem that I have with lists, and I make them, and I don't make them as much as I used to. Here's what would happen with me. I make the list. There are things I want to do that I would like to do that I think are going to improve my situation. Well, these wants, they're wants. They turn into need. And now I'm trying to do the list because I got to get a need met rather than a light desire or a strong desire. And then there's a pressure of, I have 8 things on the list and I only got 5 done. And I'm going to sleep that night and I'm thinking, oh, well, I'll move it to the next day, but then I've already got things for tomorrow. So now
Mm-hmm.
you know what I'm saying? It's like this mental
Yeah.
twistoid that you kind of go, and now these things that were supposed to be life enhancing and joyful into these
Right.
needs.
Now it's escape motivated behavior.
It's
Yeah.
awful.
It's what you just described is the natural progression toward compulsion. And compulsion is when you feel like you have to do something.
Yes.
And now you're going to bed with two things not checked off on your checklist and you feel uncomfortable and it bothers you. It's it's not
It
a
was
great
three
feeling.
things. It was three things.
And then what do you do with that? And it's all arbitrary, it's all made up. You don't have to do those things. It all began with this well-intentioned checklist to be
Yeah.
efficient, to not forget anything, to help yourself get through your life. And now it's this compulsive thing that isn't helping you, but it's running you. It's not a
Right.
tool you're using. It's you're just laying down and letting it just make you decide how you're going to feel about your day and how you're going to feel about your life.
And then the other piece of it, I was just thinking about this. I promised myself I was going to do this thing. I promised myself I was going to clean my office today. And I did that yesterday, and I promised myself that last week, and I still haven't gotten to it. And now when I think about cleaning my office, I can't, because it's just, what if I don't, or I don't finish it? You know what I'm saying? It's just like that. It's amazing how the mind works.
Well, it gets heavier. It becomes a really heavy thing when in reality, if you had like a quick morning, you got to the office 10 minutes early and you were in a good mood, you already had a cup of coffee or whatever.
Yeah.
And you just, you're humming a tune and straightening off your desk and it's done and you didn't even try. But now that it's something that was on your to-do list that got moved around for a couple weeks now it's something completely different. It has nothing to do with cleaning your desk. It's just this like really heavy thing that you can't move out of your way because you're just so overly focused on it.
I'm overly focused. I'm not succeeding. The only answer is to quit my job.
Yeah. Just burn it down.
Get
and
a fresh
start over.
office in another building, doing something else. Wait a minute, sir. You don't really want to do that. So fun.
Yeah.
So the app is called No Way, NO space WEIGH. And you can get that probably at the App Store, I'm guessing.
Yeah. Yep. Google Play and App Store both have it.
Is there a website people can visit if they want to find out more?
Yeah, you can go to noway.com. And I like to put up a blog post every month, something to think about. So if this, sounds like something that might be interesting, you could check out those blog posts that explore the topics in different ways. And then, downloading the app is free. You can try it, see if it's for you, see if it's resonating. And, at some point, I think we're all ready for something different. At some point we have this urge to change, but we are you think about going about it the way you did in the past, and it just makes your stomach turn and you just can't do it. And, take a step back, because there's not just one way to go about something. You can go about it differently. And maybe this belief, that there's one way, that this diet culture is you're either a success or a failure at it. Maybe that's just all contrived and it doesn't really exist. And you can go about losing weight by being a person and having your experiences and using a point of view that brings you towards reconnecting with who you are. And then when you're engaging in behavior that feels authentic, the weight loss just comes about naturally.
Couldn't have said it better. And so I won't even try. Valerie Evans, I've enjoyed talking to you immensely.
You too, Bob.
And have a fantastic evening. I know we gave you an hour break from child rearing and family life, which is always a refreshing thing to do. Mm-hmm. So I feel good about that part of it also. that Valerie got a break from her fantastic parenting. I'm sure you're a
Yeah.
great parent. I can tell.
No, thank you.
And you kiss those kids, you kiss the hubby, and you have a beautiful night. All on me, no charge.
Okay. Thanks, Bob. Thanks for this opportunity. This was fun.
Thank you. And have a beautiful evening. Thank you.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.
Much appreciation for you folks listening to The Exploding Human. The website is theexplodinghuman.com. The YouTube channel, The Exploding Human with Bob Nickman. Once again, I want to thank Valerie Evans for being on the program. And you can check out her work at www.noway.com. That's NOWEIGH. Have a fantastic day. Thank you.